Good evening, everyone. Happy Women's Day 2023. My name is Shibani Antonette, and I'm a lecturer at TD School at the University of Technology, Sydney, where I explore transdisciplinary innovation. So we try and build bridges across different fields of study, bringing in diverse perspectives and expertise, and particularly interested in how data science can span across these different sectors and industries to impact the real world. So, and I'll share about how I went into this interdisciplinary space in a while. But what I wanted to do today was actually share my journey into data science, but also my personal life journey, because mainly because we don't hear people's stories very often. And I think it's important to share our stories with each other. And I, for one, have given many research presentations, talks, but probably not much on how I actually got here. And I think this is a great platform to do that. And thank you to the organizers for conducting an event like that and giving this opportunity to hear from each other and get inspired. It's nothing short of amazing to hear from all of these wonderful people who are in here today, sharing different stories from their own lives. So this is where I started. So I came from this beautiful small town in India, from the southernmost part of India, called Nagarkoil. A lot of people don't know that because it's not a big city. And the picture on the right is actually a picture from my town. Luckily, it's still the same. I don't know for how long it's going to remain the same, but it's a nice, beautiful little town where I grew up and was there for about 17 years or so. My family and all, they still live here. And fun fact, when I was a kid, I told my mom, who is a professor, that I would never get into teaching. And fast forward to 20 years, this is where we are. So I'll give a quick professional snapshot from where I was and where I came from. So I did my bachelor's in computer science engineering in Anna University in India. When I think back, it didn't feel particularly special for a girl to do it, because I had in my own cohort, about half of them were women, and only about the half women. It was not particularly special, just the way we had it, at least in my state or where I grew up. Education was considered extremely well regarded for women and everyone. And I'm incredibly fortunate to be coming up in such a background. Because I understand it's not the same in some others who come from some of those countries. But then after completing my bachelor's degree in computer science engineering, I've always loved computers, programming, and I almost never wanted to be a doctor for some reason. And absolutely loved the computer aspect of it, building things, applying it. And then I did a job as a programmer in data warehousing and business intelligence. It was called that time in the industry, where it was mostly data mining. And I worked for a couple of years in that role before going on to my master's degree in information studies. And I went on to Singapore to do my master's degree at Nanyang Technological University, or NTU. And in terms of learning, that was a real, I guess, change for me, coming from an Indian education system to something else where we don't have exams, we have more reporting and applying your own skills and so on. So again, a lot of cultural differences and things, but absolutely enjoyed how learning should be, and probably fascinated me and led me towards researching learning or education itself as a concept, because education empowers people, and the way you deliver good education can have an impact on a person. So I did my master's there, and I went on to work at the National Institute of Education at NTU for about 3 years as a research assistant associate. And I then came up to Sydney, University of Technology, Sydney, to do my PhD in learning analytics, to dive deeper into my research area. Luckily, I met my supervisors in some conferences I did as a research associate, and through them I came into Australia and started doing this degree. And this is what we'll see in a normal CV, right? So we'll put up all of our educational qualifications or timelines. But I also wanted to talk a little bit about the different revelations that led into some of the transformations in my life, from what happened and what you don't see in a CV. So the first one was when I was working at an industry job. I'm not, I guess, not critical of anything, but just from my own personal experience, I really wanted to stop being a cog in the corporate machine. And this was based on a very early experience. Maybe it would be very different now if I do it right now. But in that stage, I really wanted to find that purpose of, why am I doing what I'm doing? Who is it helping? And yeah, I really wanted to find that purpose in life. And for that, and that's why that led me into my master's degree and studying more and that higher studies. So that was like first. And the second one was really finding that field of research or the niche or where I wanted to go into and apply these techniques. So I was drawn into education, as I said, primarily because of a lot of reasons, but and also this growing field called learning analytics, which came up, where they were looking at the power of data, what we can learn from to optimize teachers and students' learning experiences with technology and tools. And I was making a positive difference using tech was really key for me, because I was always into that applied science or applied data of what do we apply it for? How is it going to impact people? So reflecting, yeah, so that's something I wanted to pursue as a field, or something I wanted to put my energy in. So I wanted to combine computers, data, and learning and education. And just reflecting on some of the experiences as a master's student, I once got a question from someone, I don't even remember who, but it was probably some other student or a colleague who was saying something like, oh, you are a girl, but you code. Wow. And for me, it was like, that doesn't, it's, yeah, it's one thing we do. Uh, there's really nothing that stops anyone from doing anything. But yeah, that struck me as people's stereotypes and how they associate human beings to certain aspects or characteristics. But if we open our eyes wide and see there's really nothing stopping anyone from doing anything, whether it's a man or a woman. But anyway, from there, I went on to doing this research on AI and education, but also was more fascinated by human language. And an interesting inspiration for me came from one of those online courses I took like way back 10 years ago. And I was reflecting today about how much impact these little instances can make in our life, even if we don't even know that person so much. So I took one of those courses from a CMU professor called Carolyn Rose. And she used to talk so much about the power of human language. I mean, language encompasses everything. It's a mirror to human thinking and cognition. Like, it forms the foundation of communication. So I was fascinated by what we can learn from text and human language. So that's why I got into natural language processing, NLP, text analysis, and so on. So the broader question always around my work has been on the impact of how can AI or these tech impact humans. So also moving more from research into practice to see what real difference do they make in the world. And that's where the current work I do sits very much in the transdisciplinary space, where you combine any of the elements you want to explore, but in relation to how it impacts real world experiences. And impact might be a big word because it's very hard to measure, and it is hard to see, but also we know that every drop counts. So every little difference we try and make, if it's positive, is going to impact someone, people positively. So I work with tools that students and educators can use to improve their teaching and learning, particularly improving their writing. Very useful for students working, coming from English as a second language background, but also anyone else who struggles with academic writing, for example. But I also do other sorts of research where we apply NLP in things like social media research, figuring out how people communicate, how people navigate misinformation, and so on. So that's a bit of a research work that I do. But I also teach into the Master of Data Science and Innovation, and that is an excellent opportunity to train future data professionals to be responsible. So it is not just about getting their technical skills, but also learning to apply their data science and AI knowledge ethically and creatively, instances to improve, to improve different circumstances with using data. So absolutely love whatever I'm doing and I used to do. So I came up with uh, 3 mantras that have helped me, um, for women, but also for anyone in particular. And a lot of them might sound very cliche, and but I think it really works because uh, the number one thing is finding the purpose and loving what we do. So obviously, if you don't really enjoy what you're doing, it's not going to be helpful in the long run for you or for others. So and talking about the finding the niche was really talked about by a lot of others, and I absolutely loved hearing their stories as well, where what is your niche, or you create your own niche if there's none. So that's number one, and mentors are very helpful for that. Obviously, I'm also shout out to my 2 wonderful PhD supervisors, both male, but very, very encouraging and exciting, who almost pushed me to be at this stage. But also, number 2, never give up. Again, lots of circumstances, there are challenges, and I am a new mom, or feels like new mom. I have a 2-year-old, so there are times when you're at the edge thinking, oh my god, how am I going to manage everything? It's going to be quite hard, and academia is not uh, super kind anyway. So for at all of these times, it's also thinking back about the bigger purpose, or why you're passionate about why you started it, and then we are getting much closer to again continuing what we want to do. And then the third one is giving back, where we want to also mentor and encourage future students and scholars who want to learn more about this. And that's also something I try and do in my own work, where I work with different organizations, students within UTS, but also internationally with collaborators in India and so on, where we try and encourage more students and scholars to take up work and learn the nuances of these things. So that's pretty much all that I wanted to share for today. So thank you so much. And I'm super happy to connect with you all. And I'm looking forward to being a part of this wonderful community. Thanks once again.